Today's session, we're covering how do we go about qualifying our potential buyers and sellers, right? And the first step to all of this, I want to start out by, most of us are new, and kind of what is the foundation that we need to set in our business. There's two different types of foundations. Okay, so the first foundation, I think, is the administrative foundation, and getting ourselves familiar with the CAR forms and the contract. Specifically, most of us will be working with buyers. So looking at the RPA, reading the RPA, asking questions about the RPA. RPA stands for Residential Purchase Agreement. You know, it's really important that we understand that document, because most of us, our first opportunity will be with a buyer. And then contingency removals, right? This is where, if we find ourselves in trouble, it will be because we didn't explain the contingency removals to our clients. So knowing that form as well, the buyer inspection waiver. So in this particular area, most homes for sale have completed inspections before going to the market, right? The reason why is because now they can receive an offer, and the buyer's not going to hopefully investigate the condition of the property. They're going to take that inspection report. They believe it to be true. They're going to write an offer without doing their own inspection, right? But understanding the buyer inspection waiver is how we're going to educate our buyers what it means to waive that right, okay? Because if they later come in and find things going on in the home, they're going to be upset at somebody. So it's really important that I understand that form. And then the offices, all the offices we're in have a contingency waiver. And it's written in plain English. It's very friendly. We need to grab a hold of that thing and get familiar with it so that we understand it, right? It's going to talk about loan, appraisal, and property investigation, right? So those are foundational, right? And from here, let's talk about the MLS, right? How many of us can get on the MLS and find the information that they're looking for? Okay, if we can't do that, our association, whether we're members of SCORE or Silvar, has training on it. A lot of times, if we just sit down with another agent and get familiar with it, I mean, I probably spend an hour a day on the MLS, and in 5 years, right, I know how to navigate my way around and run my CMAs and investigate kind of what's going on in the market in a really hyper-focused way. Because I don't care about what's going on in all of Santa Clara County or San Mateo County. I care about particular pockets where I have sellers and buyers. So there's typically only, I don't know, 5 to 15 properties that I really need to investigate when I have an active client. And then getting familiar with the CAR forms, right, which I just talked about. Okay, now we're familiar with the forms. I have to then send them out for signatures. So if I'm not doing a wet signature where I'm meeting with my buyer or my seller, do I know how to take that document and upload it to send it out to get it signed? All right, we can practice these things without having active buyers and sellers. And this is a part of the job that's really on us as agents to make sure that we are at least somewhat proficient. You know, most of us have support, whether it be a transaction coordinator or we're in a coaching program and we have people to help us. That will hopefully ensure that we don't make any mistakes. But ultimately, my job will be to be out there and not have to pay for all of those services if I don't want to, right? If I don't see value there. And then the last one is practice, right? when I was new, I probably spent 3 months. I wrote purchase agreements. I probably wrote 3 to 5 of them every week. I would just find a property that was for sale, and somebody would give me the terms of the deal, price, contingencies, percentage that I was paying in cash versus financing. And I would just go through and fill out the RPA and submit it to my coach, who would then turn around and grade it. Okay, I may have missed a box here, or I messed up here. And after I went through that probably 10 to 15 times, I would get them done with no mistakes. So, and that's where I hope that all of us, if we're not there currently, take a look at your skill set, and let's figure out what you have to do to get proficient at filling out a residential purchase agreement. And then once I can fill it out, can I verbally explain it to someone as well? Okay. So that was my, the last thing. The way that we get paid is by putting it into command. And if we're not familiar how to do that, our market centers have tech trainers who can show us what that looks like. Once it's in command, you have a checklist of documents that need to be done, and it tells you what they all are. And you just go ahead and get them completed. All right. This isn't a contracts class. I'm not the right person to be teaching a contracts class if it was, but I just wanted to put that on everyone's radar as something. I felt at the beginning I didn't have the confidence with the contract, and my broker sat me down, and I go, man, I don't know enough about the contract, right? It was preventing me from talking to people. And he said, Garrett, he'd been licensed for like 40 years. He said, I worked with the guy who wrote the purchase agreement. He wrote it. And in 2 years of working with him, he sold 0 houses. And he knew that contract better than anyone. But he wasn't a salesperson. Okay, he wasn't able to talk to people. So I hope that we don't let that perfection, that I need to know everything, stand in the way of lead generating, right? The lead generating, right, is at the pinnacle of what we should be doing every day. Lead generate, lead follow up, go on appointments, negotiate contracts, and our script practice and objection handling. The more we do those 5 things, the bigger the business will have. And I believe that once this foundation is set for you, your focus should be on those 5 things. So if you have a full-time job, when you have an hour to work on your real estate, it's lead generate, it's go on appointments. That's your focus. My opinion, and I think that will help you find money faster. Let's keep moving. So how are we following up with our leads? Hi. Not all leads are created equal. I have a thought I have lots of thoughts, but one of them is, I meet someone at an open house. Here's the scenario. They immediately tell me, I'm looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, under 1,500 square feet. It has to be under 1.6 million. And we rush to send them information and to set up a custom home search for them on the MLS. And now we're going to follow up with them and try and get them that appointment. Or maybe we're sending them disclosures. I would urge you to slow down a little bit, because your value is in doing those things. My value is sending you disclosures. My value is setting up a custom home search for you to save you time and money, because I'm only going to send you homes that meet your criteria. In that brief interaction, I don't really know enough to send you the right property, right? So I would urge you to slow down. Remember, the objective when someone shares that information with you is to set an appointment. And I'd encourage you to understand what an appointment with you looks like. Okay. This is where I take some notes because it's not on the slides. But my appointment is, we're going to cover the 5 steps to home buying, right? This is about us selecting an agent, getting introduced to a preferred lender when appropriate, setting up a custom home search. Now, what happens after our offer is accepted? Now we have escrow. And then when will we close, and what will a closing look like? And I had a client the other day say to me, Garrett, we already wrote offers with another agent. We understand the buying process. And I just simply asked him, do you understand what happens when you get under contract? And the answer was no, because they've never bought a home before. Well, the more proactive we are, the better prepared we are for setting the whole timeline for them and how we're going to communicate with them, the less stress there will be on the transaction. And I won't have to be quite as reactive. I won't have to be calling them every couple hours because something else came up, right? There are no emergencies in real estate, but we feel like there are. We feel like everything has to happen right now. Another thing I'd urge you guys not to do is if that's how you feel, you need to shelter your clients from that feeling, right? That's part of our job as their fiduciary. Not every bit of information that the listing agent gives me needs to be shared with my buyer. Okay. So something to consider when selecting an agent I want a proactive agent. I don't want a reactive agent. And I just touched on that a little bit. And what proactive means to me is, so let's say Robbie's my client and I know specifically what area Robbie wants to buy in. I know his price range. I know the timeline he's ready to put an offer in. He's ready to put an offer in now if the right house came up. Would it be of my best interest to prepare some mail into that area that Robbie's interested in, a direct mail campaign, a letter saying, I have a buyer who'd really love to buy in this neighborhood. And your house meets the requirements, the criteria for Robbie. If you have considered selling your home, please give me a call. We can make this really easy for you. You know, let's say I send out 100 letters like this on Robbie's behalf because he's my client. I'm probably going to get about a 2% return. So I'll probably get 2 phone calls. It may or may not find the home that Robbie ends up buying, but it may find me a listing. And it gives me a reason to mail into this area. So I would take advantage of that opportunity if I can go and door knock in that area with the same message to the people who answer the door. You know, anything that can get me customer facing and give me more opportunities to generate new leads. So every buyer that I get, I want to take that opportunity, right? If I'm on a dialer system and I can circle dial, there's another opportunity to have a conversation. Okay, so it's not just about the client and their needs. It's what can I do with that client and their needs to generate more opportunities. It might not be for the client. It may just be for me, but I can use this qualified buyer as a way to have more conversations. You can introduce them obviously to a preferred lender. That's what they're going to get after meeting with me. I'm not introducing them to a preferred lender after I meet them at an open house. The reason why they need to meet with me is so that I can better understand their needs and we can assess what to do next, right? If you're my buyer that I met at an open house and we haven't even had an appointment yet, I just think you're my buyer and you keep sending me messages saying, can you send me the disclosures for this property? And I just keep sending them. Well, one, you haven't even committed to meeting with me for 30 minutes, and now I'm working for you. And I'm got my fingers crossed that this is going to somehow equal a paycheck for me. And it may or may not, but I urge you that what you have is you have the appointment. The appointment is where you're going to give them information that they need and going to leverage yourself to be their agent. Without it, have you solidified that relationship? I can't tell you how many times when I started that I was doing a lot of work for people that were not committed to me to be their agent. And so if you're doing that now, how can you back that up and go, let's reset and let's have an appointment so I can better understand your needs, help them set the timeline, right? What does the timeline look like for them? And most buyers will tell us, I don't really have a timeline. I'm just kind of, I'm in, but I'm out. I don't know. Not urgent. Okay. Is that the truth? Well, once we sit across from each other at the table, we'll find out if that's the truth or not by the questions that we ask them. This is the number one goal down here. Find the motivated. Find the motivated. The way that I find the motivated is I ask them questions to determine how motivated they are. I have some questions. When I went to family reunion this year, these questions, this was done, this is about a buyer in particular, but are you asking powerful questions? In an earlier session, I went over these questions. I find these to be extremely powerful, right? So what is the one thing that has to happen to make your dream a reality? Our goal in conversation with people is to get out of the smoke, get out of the small talk, and get into the fire. The fire is what's really going on. And when we get into the fire with people, it's going to position us as the person to help them. Because we don't tell people that we don't trust what's really going on, right? Whether I'm getting divorced, whether somebody just passed, whether I'm having a child, whether I'm worried about losing my job or I got a new job and that's why I'm moving. A lot of these things are life events, right? So what are your non-negotiables for a home? And people will tell you 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, at least 1,400 square feet. It needs to have a backyard. Well, what type of backyard are you looking for? Would you like grass? Do you want a barbecue? Are you looking for a pool? Would you buy a house with a pool? These are questions for us to dig deeper with, excuse me. So have you started looking for homes, and is there a price range you're comfortable with? Instead of us asking them, do they have a lender? Because that can be jumping in with both feet before we've earned the right to ask them maybe a sensitive question like that. This is the question I would ask instead. So have you started looking for homes, and is there a price range you're comfortable with? Okay. Timeline questions. Are you moving due to a life change? Most of the time the answer is yes, and then we're going to get out of the smoke and we're going to get into the fire with one question, right? With 8 words. Are you moving due to a life change? If the only thing that you get out of today is one thing, it should be that question. Ask people that question with empathy, give them good body language, give it a good tone of curiosity. So are you moving due to a life change? And people will respond, right? Because they'll feel like we really want to understand their situation. If you found a home today that checked all the boxes, would your timeline move up? That's simply, how prepared are you? How prepared are you? Yeah. Okay. Are you looking for move-in condition, or are you okay doing some work on it? The level of work may change, but again, it gives us an idea to what homes are going to be okay to show them, right? It is going back to what are their non-negotiables. It's just getting a little deeper. If we think non-negotiables, I really like to think in three. I want three non-negotiables, unless they have a $4 or $5 million plus price range. They could have a whole list of non-negotiables at that price range, but most of our buyers can't. So if I can drill it down to three, I will then only send them homes that meet those non-negotiable requirements. Okay. And then I might have a list of let's say 10 things that they would like to have. Now, as I take Robbie to this house that has his three non-negotiables, and I have a list of the 10 things that he would like to have, I can just go through the house and point out the things that he's already stated to me are important to him. And then by the time we finish that home tour, I can ask him, would you like to proceed with an offer on this home? Let him tell me, right? I'm not the agent who's going to look at the disclosures and learn everything about a property that I'm just showing a buyer to. First, we have to put our feet in that property, and he has to decide if it's a home he would buy or not. And then we will get busy researching the property and running our comps and understanding what a winning offer will need to look like for him to get that home. Okay. Setting expectations. Their motivation has to match the current state of the market. So if it's somebody who we feel is not very motivated, I'm going to be cautious showing them homes that are on the market for 4 or 3 days, and I know they're going to set an offer deadline because they're not ready, right? If that same client who's not ready wants to see a house that's been on the market for 25, 30 days, well, we can possibly get that one, but their motivation doesn't match the competitiveness of some homes. And that's what I just kind of went over there. I'll go back to our session here. So I can share, again, if you guys email me, I'll put my email in the chat. I will share that slide with you. That's particularly about working with buyers. I think it probably falls right in line with where most of us are. Excuse me. So number one job, right, is to find motivated buyers and sellers. That in a nutshell is what we do. How we do it, we all do it a little bit differently. If I had to create kind of a pecking order, right, it would be first call everybody that already knows you by name and ask them if they have a real estate goal in 2023 that you could help them with. That's I don't have to jump right into that. I could ask them about the family and the job first, if they're doing anything for fun. But I will hopefully end that conversation with, hey, do you have any real estate goals in 2023 that I could help you with? And they're most likely going to say, no, I don't. They're going to say, hey, do you know anybody that I might be able to help? And they're going to answer there, right? Let's not be afraid. Most of us at the beginning are afraid to get to the ask. So I think it's build a little rapport first, and then don't forget to ask. Ask for what you want. A lot of us will not sell homes because we never get to the ask. Right? So after my conversations, when I've got my 2-hour time block where I'm lead generating and I'm calling, I have a tally mark. How many of them did I get to the ask with? It's easy to get to the ask with an open house lead that's fairly cold. It's a little more challenging when you're calling people that you already know. A quick example is the other day, I called my designer, who a designer is is a cheaper version of an architect who will write plans for me. So he did my house. And at the time, I was helping my contractor with some work. And he said, "Oh, I got somebody for you. You know, they just put in a new fireplace. I'm waiting to hear." And I said, "Rolando, I don't work in construction. I sell real estate now." And he said, "Oh, really?" And it was one of those things I thought he knew, right? I haven't done construction for 5 years. So again, right, important to get to that ask and tell people why we're calling. Finding the motivated. So we all hold on to things, right? And what are the stories that we're telling ourselves is the truth. No matter if they're good or they're bad, it doesn't matter. If I'm telling myself nobody wants to hear from me today, nobody wants me to try to sell them anything, whatever I'm telling myself, it's true. We talk about this a whole lot, right? Come from a place of contribution. You have the information that is valuable to a lot of people, right? We can help them buy and sell real estate. We can help them get a vendor. We can help them by bringing boxes to their house if they're moving. We could help them junk removal, right? There are so many things we can do. And if I just go out there and I'm helpful to people, good things will follow, right? There's a saying that givers gain. Okay, so if I am a giver and I just keep giving to people around me, I will gain, and I'm going to get repaid 10 times what I give. So what do I have to do to stay in that mindset? Another short story, a friend of mine, his mom needed to move into an assisted living facility. And I knew somebody who lived at an assisted living facility. And so I arranged for the 4 of us to go have lunch together. Right after that lunch, they went over to that facility and they paid for her to move in there. They put their deposit down. And it just so happens that she has a house to sell, right? And they signed the listing for me to sell the house, right? Because I just helped them. I introduced them to this lady. I set up lunch. I even took it a step further. I helped him move furniture from the house to the assisted living facility for his mom. And business followed, okay? Just be helpful to people. He offered to pay me for helping him move this stuff over. And I just said, I'd love the opportunity to help your mom sell the house. That's how you can pay me. And he's like, "Oh, you already have the job." Okay. Be helpful. This is where the stats say on where buyers are found. The overwhelming leader, right, is referrals from a friend or a neighbor or relative. Right? All buyers, repeat buyers. Using agents was the next one. That it was someone that already took care of one transaction. I don't think that most people want to interview 5 or 6 agents. I don't think that's on the top of people's priority list. So for everyone on this call, you should identify who are the people in your life that you talk to who can be your VIP group. And what I mean by that is your VIP group gives you referrals. They're those people who are out in the community. They have a lot of friends. They talk to a lot of people, and they offer to help others. And when I have those people, I need to groom them to give me a lead. And when I say groom them, I just want to let them know, like, hey, my business is built on referrals. If you ever come across somebody that's in need of some real estate help, Are you okay with sharing their information with me? Let me just tell them specifically how I want to get their referral. And then no matter what, whenever someone refers me someone, doesn't matter the result of the referral, they get rewarded for that behavior, right? They get a gift, they get a thank you card, because I want to reward the behavior. And so on the same kind of vein as that, most consumers have enough room in their head for 2 real estate agents. So I am either 1 or 2, or I don't exist.
Yeah, Red, I have a question because I'm
Yes.
thinking about that. Like when someone give you referral or you ask for referral, do you say it right out? Like if you give me referral, I'll give you a gift card, or you don't say it?
No, I don't ask. I don't tell them that I'm going to pay them. Right? It's not a barter. Yeah.
And so
So
you just give it after that.
hey Sarah, if you know anyone that has a real estate need, would you be comfortable giving me a call and sharing their information with me so I can reach out to them, see if I could help?
That sounds good.
I found this on the
Yeah,
web.
that's what I'm saying.
Has
I
a
mean,
real estate need. Would you be comfortable giving me a call
look
and
at
sharing
my
the
phone's
information with me
listening.
so I can reach out to him, see if I could help? Check it out.
Look, apparently that's a big thing on the internet too. So I just have to ask, right? I mean, ultimately, the people that I'm saying this to, I have a relationship with them of some sort, and I want to take good care of them, just like I want to take good care of anyone they refer to me, right? You know, I'd appreciate the opportunity. Another way with like a colder lead, or even a not a cold lead, there's a guy I've been following up with him for 2 years. And I just said to him yesterday, I said, hey, I'd love the opportunity to interview for the job and earn your business. And he said, I appreciate that. I'll give you a call next week. Right? Because I didn't say like, hey, give me your business, right? I haven't established that sort of relationship with him. But I could always ask, hey, I'd love the opportunity to interview for the job. You know, get that interview. Usually the first agent in the door, unless you trip over your own feet or you're in a really competitive situation, you can get that business. Is a high likelihood. Let's see here. Let's see what the next slide has in store. So this is how people found their sellers. Again, the referral just dominated everything, right? Using the past agent. I had a situation where a guy contacted me. He was going through a divorce. He wanted me to sell the house. But the attorneys, to avoid conflict between the people getting divorced, decided that they were just going to use the agent that helped them buy the house, because then it was one less thing for them to argue about. So that happens. So there is our list there on how people are finding sellers. Again, if we are not up there working in that top column, getting referrals from friends and neighbors and relatives, it's going to be very challenging for us to get transactions, right? I mean, look at the open house stats where most of us are probably spending our time. And again, we're finding a seller here, but if we go back to the previous slide, open house 4%, open house 2%. And I'm not saying don't do the open houses, okay? Because I need to do customer facing things, so I build my skill set and I talk to more people. But my time during the week needs to absolutely be spent talking to friends, neighbors, and relatives and seeing if they know anybody that we might be able to help. Okay. Here's the command opportunities. This is how we get paid. If you're not familiar with it, please get with your tech trainer to understand how to move leads along through here, because again, this is how we stay in compliance. This is how you will get paid once you write offers. At this time, let's see, I'm going to stop the share here. If you could raise your hand, I want to take maybe 5 minutes here. Just what are some ahas from the opening bell?
Hey guys,
Not
this
all-
is Robbie.
Thanks, Robbie.
Yeah, for me, it's just you know, I kind of toe that line with coming from a place of contribution and offering a little bit too much too soon. You know, kind of like, you know, not really giving away the farm, but kind of, you know, giving away a little bit too much before any you know, before I'm actually obligated, you know, to do any of that. So that's something that I need to kind of back away a little bit, you know, and kind of bring them in before I start to provide more services than I probably should. So that's
Right.
kind of one of my there.
Good. Thank you for sharing. I believe that most of us are probably guilty of that. Giving a little too much too soon. It's really about hearing their needs and then offering them some solutions, right? And their solutions start when we present them with those options, right? What are their options, and then how we can help them, and confirming that is our client, and we can then go to work for them. So I thank you for sharing that, because I'm pretty sure most of us fall into that camp. So thank you. Let's hear from somebody else.
Hey, Garrett, it's Newton.
Hey,
Hey, just a big piggyback off of that. Do you actually make them sign a buyer broker agreement?
I don't make them, I present it. So after, in my buyer consultation, I present a buyer agency agreement. It's a 30-day agreement, which gives me exclusive rights to represent them as a buyer. As you can see, I'm very proactive for my clients. And with that proactive, with me going out and spending my time and money looking for the right home for you, I ask that you hire me to do that job.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the likelihood of them signing it? Usually.
Four out of 5 people I'm working with right now have buyer agency agreements in place.
And for the person who didn't sign it, how do you treat them differently from the ones
Oh,
that
I
do?
treat them like a dog. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, to be honest, I don't treat them very differently, right? It's fairly similar, but it is clear to them that the buyers who have signed their buyer agency agreement, if they both have a need at the same time, those clients are going to come first.
And did you tell them that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we only have so much of us to go around, right? And if you had, let's say you had 7 agency agreements, you're working a full-time job right there, right? If these people are active, it's a 30-day agreement, so we're really setting it. Here's what's going to happen. You're gonna hire me for 30 days. We're either going to be under contract for you to buy a home, or the 30 days is going to come up and you're going to get to decide. We're going to decide if we want to extend this for another 30 days, or I'm not meeting your needs and you want to try to work with someone else.
Got it.
You know, it's if we have somebody who's right there at the green light ready to go, we're asking for a 30-day commitment, because we're going to get out there and we're going to be knocking doors. We're going to be spending money, sending mailers. We're going to be calling agents every day and circle dialing to try and find them a home. And I'm not doing that for somebody who hasn't hired me. I want exclusive rights, right? I would never sell a home. Our Keller Williams will not let us take a listing where we don't have exclusive rights to sell that home. And the California Association of Realtors have been talking for a long time about this buyer agency agreement making it mandatory. Whether that happens this year or not, I don't know. But I tell you what, now that I present it and people sign it, I don't worry anymore. I don't worry as much, right? I used to worry all the time that they were out. I was like Saturday and Sunday, like they were probably out there flirting with somebody else at an open house. You know, it was like the girlfriend who wasn't committed to you, and she'd be out with her friends, and you were always worried that somebody else she was going to become somebody else's girlfriend. You know, that's probably a bad example, but I think it felt similar. It felt similar to me. So let's hear one more and then we'll move on. I'm getting off topic, too much caffeine.
Garrett, what is that form name, please?
It's a buyer broker agreement. It's in the car forms. And there's a script for how to handle objections when it comes to the buyer broker agreement.
Okay.
If you do not have if you don't know what your buyer consultation looks like, it makes it a little harder to ask for that appointment because you don't really know why they should take it. Right. But so again, part of that foundation, back to the car forms and back to our DocuSign and MLS, I'd encourage you to spend a little time and understand what a buyer consultation looks like for you so that you can show up and present your value to these buyers and get them to hire you, right?
Thank you.
All right. So we're going to keep rolling. I of course, am way behind as usual. I want to let you guys, I want to wrap this up by about 10:10. So I'm going to start flying here. Good quote from Gary Keller. And this is something this is a question I would ask myself as an agent, is how focused am I? And how clear am I about what I want? And when I want it? And who do I have to become to get it? Right? This falls in lines with like setting our goals. It's very hard to know which direction to paddle the boat in. That was good. Which direction to go when I don't really know. I don't really know. I know I want to sell a house. I know I want to get a paycheck, but that's as far as I've gotten. The more clarity I have. So I'll get vulnerable with all of you right now. Keller Williams, they talk a lot about finding your why. Okay. And I hated that question. I struggled with it. I go, I don't know why. I just want to be a great real estate agent. I want to help a bunch of people and I want to make a bunch of money. I don't really know why I want to do all those things. And then through a lot of effort and a lot of writing and a lot of talking to my coach about it, what I found was I want to be a role model for my daughters so that they can see what success looks like, right? So that the activities that I do every day, if my daughters came with me and came with me for a month every day, they could say, that's what success looks like. And it's that I've been really focused on for the last month. So I'll challenge myself when I'm not doing those things that models success. Why not, right? Something must be more important to me. I want to model success. I want to show success, and I want to be a clear definition of what success looks like for my daughters. And when my coach asked me the question, my response was, well, my wife already models that for them. Because it's hard. It's hard to be that accountable. So that's mine.
Can I share an aha, Garrett? I know it's out of sequence.
Yes, no,
but I want to say,
I'd love to hear it.
as you are, talking through this slide, I think my aha is even more so about how, Garrett, clearly you are very focused on helping people. Your lights have gone out and you didn't skip a beat, right? And if I were a potential client, I'm like, this man is focused. Nothing will distract him. He is like, he's like found his higher calling. And I feel like it's a very important aha to call out. Because when you have that focus, you have that determination, your clients feel it. So how can we be like that, right? In our buyer consults or our seller consults. So that's my aha.
Thank you, Carol. I appreciate that. And with us determining to piggyback on like it, I believe it's really important for us to understand why we're doing what we're doing on a bigger scale. If you read a book, I forget the name of the book, but it talks about going 7 layers deep with why you do what you do. It's not good enough to just, I want to help people or I want to make money. What are you going to do with the money? What sort of life do you want to create? So back to our buyers and sellers, come from curiosity. We've already beat that down. My coach said, so my coach sells 150 homes a year. And he told me the most successful person he's ever met in real estate is not particularly smart, is not particularly professional, but he's the most curious man he's ever met in his life. And whenever he meets someone, he's curious about them. He's curious about what they're into. He's curious about what they're doing, where they came from. And he said, people eat it up, right? Because we all want to talk about us. So I hope that you can find slivers of curiosity and others as you interact with people throughout your day. To me, this timeline is a little bit off. I have people in command as A buyer, B buyer, C buyer, A seller, B seller, C seller. C seller to me is anyone I know that owns a home is a C seller. So here it says 61 plus days. Mine is anyone that owns a home. A B seller would be for me 91 days to 120 days. And an A seller is anyone 0 to 90. Okay, and the same formula goes for my buyers. And this way, in command, it makes it real easy for me to go, okay, I'm just gonna tackle every B buyer today. And now I'm ready for my script is ready for those people in that position. So I know I'm going to talk to them about preferred lenders. I know I'm going to find out what's going on in their life, if anything has changed, right? I have my script set up. Here's a hack for calling people that you're connected with on social media. Look at their social media profile so you can have a conversation about the things that they're doing, right? It's Little League season, right? Every parent is out there playing Little League with their kid. Well, call them and ask them about it. Ahas, I'm going to fly through this. Right, following the fair housing checklist, buyer lead sheet, the questions that we ask buyers, right? This is to qualify them. What are your qualifying questions? Email me and I'll send you my buyer consult script. And the questions that I ask is very similar to this. Again, we can find all this stuff out there. A lot of this has to do with the features of what they're looking for. And what I need to do is once I understand the features, now I have to get into the fire and figure out the motivation. Okay. Same thing for sellers, buyers. this is how they're suggesting communicating with your database. For me, everyone in my database is on a monthly phone call. So I have 312 people in my database that I have to call once a month. It doesn't mean I call all of them once a month, but I get a reminder through command that I'm supposed to call so-and-so. I have the command app on my phone. Some days I just do it while driving and I don't have any focused lead generating time. Other days, 4 days a week, I have at least an hour a day devoted to lead generation. The email's off. All I'm doing is calling. So figure out your cadence and get a system for how you're going to lead generate. All right. Qualifying sellers. Let's do this. Let's just open it up for a quick conversation here. People can kind of share what they have going on. We could answer any questions that are kind of burning. Any burning desires?
Okay,
I
Garrett,
can-
remember at the first meeting, I told you that the listing agent doesn't answer. Just
Mhm.
got an email from him that my offer is not accepted.
Yep.
And now I need
So
to
you-
call, like you say, I'm gonna call around because I have a ready buyer. I'm gonna call around that area and then who find out who want to sell their home.
Yep. That's good. Sorry to hear that.
It's okay.
I have a burning question, Garrett.
Yes.
Ever since your other Ignite session about how you are like a bouncer at your open house and how like you get pinged right away when somebody gets put in to your I guess is it that like they have to scan the QR code and this QR code goes straight to your contact me page and then you
Yep.
get a ping as soon as they fill that out?
Correct.
Okay, all right. Just wanted to make
Yep.
sure that
And
that's what you were talking about.
and there were a couple agents in the coaching program that used it. They co-hosted the open house. So one of them was at the door requiring everyone to sign in and the other one was in the house. And so on Saturday, the agent who was in the house, she got all the leads. They all went to hers. And on Sunday, they switched the QR code. The other agent stood outside and then the agent in the house got all the leads. Okay, so something to mention, if we are co-hosting, discuss with that other agent what we're going to do with the leads before we co-host an open house together. Because we don't want to get in a situation where we're in an argument over what we're going to do with these leads. Because it can get messy. So something to consider. Isaac, you got some?
Yeah, so I was gonna ask you, but I was gonna call you offline, but to be able to set up the QR code to capture the leads, where do we do that at? Is that in command?
You can either go to the tech trainer in the market center. So a lot of us, it's Alexa. I don't know who it is in Silicon City. Or you can just type in build a QR code, go to your agent website onto the contact page, and you just take that the URL and you put it in the build your QR code and it will make you a QR code. And then you just download it and put it on a piece of paper and put it on the door.
Okay, I have that answer for you, Isa. I just
Yeah.
did the same thing. I could give you the email of Kelsey in Cupertino, and then you give her your information, like email, phone number, and stuff like that, and she will just do it for you real quick.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, I'd encourage anybody who has a question. I think it's worth asking because there are probably other people who have the same question who aren't asking.
Garrett, I just tried to find the form on CAR and I can't find the buyer broker agreement. It not pop out.
Type in buyer agency agreement in the search
Buyer.
column.
Hey Garrett,
No.
Yeah,
just kind of recap on, can you just kind of replay the comment that you said about how you approach the buyer, potential buyer about the buyer agency agreement? Can you kind of replay the script that you was talking about earlier?
yeah. So I would say it's something like this, right? It's Mr. or Mrs. Buyer. As you can see, we put a lot of time and effort into finding the perfect home for you. Wouldn't you agree that a proactive and systematic approach is what you're looking for in the agent who represents you? And then they'd probably respond with yes. And I'd say, so great. In exchange for all the time and effort I'll be putting into finding you the best home at the best price, all I ask is that you commit to working exclusively with me as your agent. Do you feel comfortable and confident hiring me to work for you? And then, excellent. Here's the buyer agency agreement we use that authorizes me to represent you in the purchase of your home. What it says is that I will work hard on your behalf doing all the things I outlined. As a result, when you buy a home, I will get paid a commission. The commission in our market is paid by the seller. So as long as I represent you, there is no cost to you. Isn't that great?
Garrett, should you say that in person or phone, or like say you send that from like online, like email?
No, this is done during the consultation, during the buyer appointment.
Mm.
So, I mean, every one of us is independent contractors, and we have to make the decision for us and our business if we're going to ask people to hire us exclusively to represent them as a buyer's agent. Many agents in this area don't do it. So it's up to each one of us what's going to be the standard in our business. And that's kind of where I need to leave that, because I don't want to tell you, yes, you have to get this done, because you don't, right? Thank you, Newton. Sarah, the Newton just put what the form is called on the car forms. Buyer representation and broker compensation agreement.
Oh, is that the name?
That's the name.
I still can't. Okay, buyer.
Representation and broker compensation agreement. All right, we got time for about 2 more questions, and then we're going to close it down. Or comments. Nima, you got something?
Yeah, my question is that when it comes to fill out the buyer broker agreement, do we need to ask them for their ID or no?
No.
It doesn't need to necessarily be exactly as their ID is?
No, I mean, probably, right, if we're going to get technical about it. I mean, ultimately, the agreement, if they sign it, and then they go and use another agent during the allotted time that I am exclusively their representative, I can then go after the other agent to get a commission. That's what it's for.
Uh-huh.
So.
And my other, yeah, go ahead.
No, you're up.
Yeah, and the other question is that, is it legal to pay for referrals?
So for tax purposes, my gift can only be $25. $25 is what I can write off for taxes.
Right.
So,
But it is not legal. It is not illegal, right?
I don't know.
we
You'll
pay
have to consult your attorney with that one. This is
Okay.
this is a perfect example where people are going to ask us a lot of questions about taxes, about law, about things that are kind of outside of our scope. And and I always like to refer them to someone else to get those questions answered, because I don't want to put my foot in my mouth and end up in court
Okay.
or in
Thank you.
mediation. It would be the case most of the time.
Okay, Garrett, I found it.
Great. One more. Who else has something good?
Hey, good morning, Garrett and everyone. This is Brushali.
Hi, Vishali.
Hi, how are you? So, one question. I know, although the open house is almost at the bottom of our lead generation with 4% or 2% conversion rate, but many new agents, they do host open house, and with QR code, we have the contact information in our database. So what is your generally the plan to follow up with them? If they don't have phone number, they don't provide phone number, it's only email. So how do you generally do it? I know we have 8 the touch points, but if it is only with email, then what are different value additions you plan to do during that time?
So with the contact form,
Mhm.
they have to submit their phone number or else it won't go through.
Okay.
So then I would have the phone number. I think that your likelihood of actually getting that person who only puts their email on the phone for a buyer consultation is very slim. Probably 0.5% to 1%.
Mhm.
So I mean, we got to get the phone number, right? Because
Okay.
and with follow-up, let's talk about follow-up real quick. My objective is to get them either to tell me to stop calling them, to tell me when I should follow up with them and give me permission to do so, or to set an appointment. That's the objective in the follow-up. So that person should hear from me until they fall into one of those buckets. Maybe I set 20 days and I go, okay, in 20 days after I contact them, for the first 8 days, I contact them every day. Then I contact them every other day for the next 12. Okay, now I can decide if I want to put them in the trash because they don't respond, or I'm just going to put them on some automated follow-up plan.
Okay. So, but for 8 days, what is there any specific contact point you have? Are you contributing anything to them? Because just asking, hey, are you ready to present offer for this property, or are you ready to set up a consultation? There is a very less percentage that they will respond to you, but is there something that we contribute ahead of time, little bit as small nuggets to them? That way they see what value we add to them.
Yeah,
So,
we met at the open house in Santa Clara last weekend. I prospect for off-market properties and talk to 2 to 5 sellers every week. When are you available? So I could learn a little bit more about what you're looking for, so I can see if I might have the right property for you.
okay. So that's what I wanted to, get out of this conversation. What are the nuggets that we are trying to, although we, in this particular case, we did not present them the actual properties, but we at least mentioned that, hey, we do have some off-market properties. So
yeah, I mean, I think we're all offering off markets. I think a lot of agents are saying it without actually having it. So are you familiar with the 5 steps associated with buying a home? Will you rank the property and give them the address that we met at on a scale of 1 to 10? All I'm looking for is for them to engage a little bit.
exactly.
And then I could say, are you open to having a conversation with me so I can learn a little bit more about what you're looking for and share with you how I help my clients find the right home at the right price? It is constantly, it's what's in it for them, right? I have to constantly ask myself that question. What's in it for that individual?
Exactly. Yeah.
Good. Thank you. I mean, and us practicing and getting our follow-up standard in place is really crucial, right? If you ever get messages from people that are like, hey, are you available to talk this afternoon? And you're all,
No.
I am, but not with you.
Yeah.
Right? You know, I could be, but you didn't tell me why you want to talk to me.
Exactly. So in the follow-up, it is important to have some contribution nuggets. That way they can answer you back and you will get to set up appointment with them.
You know, are you familiar with the 5 things found on home inspections that should cause red flags?
Mhm.
They may be getting disclosure packets sent to them every weekend for months, right? And they're
Mhm.
looking at these home inspections going, I don't know what the hell I'm looking at.
Yeah.
And now I have some value because we can look at a home inspection together and I can help them. But I will do that after they hire me.
Yes, but at least to hire you and to get in touch with you, you are showing them what value you may add.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right.
Thank you. Thank
You
you.
got
Derek.
it. Send me an email if you'd like me to share the buyer consult with you, as well as the class slides that I got at family reunion for helping buyers.
I will send you an email for that. Thank you so much, Derek.
You got it. Everybody have yourself a good day. We'll talk to
Thank you
you
again.
next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.